Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Everybody's awake today. It's not 34 degrees, so there's no excuse for you to be not up and moving. Yesterday was cold. Yesterday was cold. All right. Go. All right, so hi, how are you? we're talking success stories. We're talking. So, yeah, good morning. So, congratulations, Michelle. She got her first listing signed yesterday. Awesome. Very good. Wonderful job. Do me a favor. How'd you get the listing? You called a past client. Now, Michelle is brand new with us in the last, 3 months, right?
Yes.
And you called a past client. So if you're brand new to the business and with us, how do you have past clients already?
I was in the mortgage business,
Okay.
and I have a pretty significant list of past clients, and I consider that my business goal.
So your business goal is to get through your entire list of past clients from the mortgage business that you had.
Yes.
And how are you planning on doing that?
I'm calling every one of them personally. If I
Okay.
don't reach them, I text them and say I'll try to reach out again.
Okay. And how successful have you been? When did you start? When did you start committing to your phone calls?
Probably just within the last, it took me a little bit to I wanted to get my head wrapped around all of the tools that we have to offer.
Sure.
So I've been looking at all of that. And I kind of kept making a business plan and refining it, but then meeting with you and coaching with you.
What's the only tool you really need?
My telephone.
Because all we got to do is call them, text them, right?
That's it.
This is the only thing you really need to get started. So, but once you realize that, you got started in the last week or so. Now, how have your conversations been?
Oh, they've been great. Everybody's really happy that I'm reaching out. They said, oh, I loved working with you before. I probably have about 3 tentative leads and this listing agreement.
In 1 week, you have 1 listing agreement signed and 3 potential leads. And you and I have also talked about you've been writing an offer for another person.
I have another person that is a buyer, and I reached out to her probably a month and a half ago.
And when you're making these calls, really, you heard Andrea say it too. Look, if somebody tells me that they don't need my services, I'm not offended. You're looking for one of 2 fingers. That's what you're calling for. This is what you're calling for. Yes? Or if you tell me to go away, I'll go away. I'm not offended. If you tell me you don't need my services, that's fine. If you think of somebody that does or you need them again, please call me back. I'm fine with that. That's okay. But in order to do that, you've got to get started, which is why I have this here on the screen. Don't be upset by the results you didn't get from the work you didn't do. Damn, man. Ooh, that one hurt, right? How many of you are pissed off that you didn't do the business you needed last year and you didn't earn the goals that you wanted to last year, but you didn't do the work that you said you were going to do to get them? Raise your hand if that's you. And if you didn't raise your hand, you lie about other shit too. Every single one of you, because once you hit your goal, you may be satisfied with it, but then you started questioning. For those of you that did hit your goal, you started asking yourself, wow, what would happen if I did a little more? What would happen if I set a bigger goal? What would happen if I tried a little harder? And you got upset about the results that you didn't get because you could have worked a little harder. The same reason I say every single one of you has another person inside of you. There's always somebody else inside of you that will work a little bit harder, that will call another 2 or 3 people, that will show up a little bit more, that'll work 1 more day, that'll go another hour, that'll show another home, that'll list another home, earn more income. There's another person inside of you. For those of you that think that running a 7-minute mile is impossible, there's plenty of people that do it. And every single one of you has it inside of you. No, I can only run 8 minutes. I can't do 7 minutes until you do it. Everything's impossible until you do it. Everything is impossible until you do it. Roger Bannister broke the 4-minute mile, right? Sub 4-minute mile. It had never been done before. Never. It was not possible to humans to be able to do it. A human could not do it. That was the general consensus until one man said, I'll do it, and I'm going to keep trying. And he did 3:59:58 was the time. It was like literally barely broke the time, barely got there. But he did it. And right after he did it, within the next year, 2 or 3 more people did it. And then within the next 10 to 20 years, teenagers in high school are doing it. So what was once impossible is now possible. See, there you go. You're shaking your head. You're going to run a 4-minute mile. Right there with you. So you can't get upset about the results you didn't get by the work that you didn't put in. If you did not put the work in, that's your first step. You got to get outside of your comfort zone. And that's what the rest of this email says is, look, you got to get outside of your comfort zone. You got to be willing to put the work in. You have to be willing to take a chance. You have to be willing to step outside of what your normal comfort zone is. That comfort zone is where you're doing nothing new. You're not testing your abilities. You're not trying anything new. You're not growing. You're not changing. You're not experiencing. You're not doing any of those things. And you've heard it before. Your comfort zone is where dreams go to die. You've never heard that before? Well, one more time for the people in the back. Your comfort zone is where your dreams go to die. If you're never doing anything new, you're never going to get anything new. And inside your comfort zone is where nothing new happens. If you're always comfortable, you're not growing, you're not changing, you're not achieving, you're not going to get the results, and you're going to be pissed off about the results you didn't get by the work that you didn't do, right? The only way to see the other side of that is do something different. You want more, do more. You want something different, you have to do something different. That's it. That's my rant for the day. And then we'll go on and we'll cover a couple things. And then we're going to talk about a competition that we're going to do. And then we said we'll talk about commissions and listing objections. I know I talked about that on Wednesday, but I want to go over some in the room and online. If you have any, let's talk about them. If you have any commission objections or listing objections, let's talk about them because there's a lot of them going around. So first of all, Survey Eagle property inspections. He's a big proponent and supporter of our office. He's doing free 4-point inspections. Man, people keep going. Free 4-point inspections with every home inspection for the month of February. So up until March 1st, any home inspection you order will get a free 4-point inspection. It's basically about $100 value. So please use his online system or give him a call to book any of those. Our first quarter classes, you'll get a calendar invite for this Thursday at 11. We're doing the your pick a lane. Last week we talked about your setting a schedule, creating a business plan, knowing how many deals you have to do. This week we're going to talk about picking a lane. What are you going to focus on? We'll dive into a couple of them. Part of the competition we're going to talk about, we'll focus on. So those of you who show up to that will already have a head start at it. I got it. So all of you will already have a head start at that. We have the dates. Can you tell the dates for Moxie next month? So we have the dates for Moxie right now.
Well, the main launch date is going to be for Moxie Engage is February 17th. Okay.
And then
February 17th.
And the website
is on March 3rd. Yeah, happy birthday. Happy birthday
to you. So, and then again for March 10th and 24th, we're going to be taking a hands-on dive in person. Bring your laptops, bring your computers in. We'll sit down. We'll actually go through using the CRM, go through creating the website so you can have a nice product like we showed on some of the Thursday meetings that Jimmy's done. So we'll talk about those. So let's just come back here we'll talk about the competition here in a little bit. Let's talk about listing objections and commission objections. Who here has any listing or commission objections? Like, hey, I don't want to list for that long. I don't want to pay that amount. Anything that's come up that you want to discuss, either how you overcame it or how you could have overcome it better, or holy hell, I don't know what to say. $500,000 home. Okay, so it's a $500,000 home and only wanted to list it at 4%. He wanted to list it for $550,000 for a $500,000 home. He wanted to list it at 4%. Did he want to only do it for 15 days too? Yeah. And he didn't want to clean it. He didn't want to stage it. I don't want it on the MLS. You can't do an open house. You can't bring other agents in. If you don't sell it within the first hour, you're fired. Pretty much. So that's not a motivated seller. So So we talked about showing him the comps. I know it's probably a little late. So I talked about showing him the comps. I talked about showing him the comps at where the value was and expressed to him about, offering more commission to a buyer's agent and bringing more possible buyers. And if it doesn't sell, that his price is too high. Well, I think the biggest thing to discuss with somebody, whenever we talk with somebody about a commission objection when they want to pay 4%, what's the biggest thing we need to address? We're not a discount broker. Now, what's the biggest thing we have to address right up front? Single agency. What else? Ask them why. What else? What is the biggest thing that we have to address when somebody says, I only want to pay 4%? What services you're willing to go up? Those are all good. Those are going to come secondary. The first thing we need to figure out is changing the basis point. He's focused on what he's paying when he should be focused on how much money we can put in his pocket. Because I guarantee he's not sat down and done any of the numbers. He sees some ad for 4%. I list my home at $550. I'm only paying 4%, but he has not even looked and calculated any of the numbers. He doesn't realize he has to pay about 2% in closing costs and fees and everything like that. He does not realize any of that. He's so focused on what I'm paying that he's completely forgetting about what he's going to put in his pocket at the end. So number one, the first thing we do is change the basis point. So really, one question is asking them, just getting them off what they're paying just a little bit, asking them, well, let me ask you a question. Is it about how much you pay me, or is it about how much money you're going to put in your pocket? Because you're talking to me about listing with a 4% brokerage. So let's just talk about that. A 4% brokerage is going to be a discount type brokerage. It's not going to be a large national brand. It's not going to be a huge company. There's not going to be a ton of services provided. There's not going to. I know what my competition is out there. So if you're talking about paying 4%, I want to see that 4%, how hard are they really going to work for it? Are they going to work to sell your listing? Are they going to work really hard to sell your listing? Or they probably want to sell it really quick? They know a home sells really quick. They're going to come in here, and that's what they're going to use to sell you on. The home's going to sell so quick. I'll do it for 4%. We'll just get it done. Well, let me tell you why that's a bad idea. Let me tell you a story. I can tell you something, or I can tell you a story about it. If I tell you something, Kalani, you got to pay me 6% because I'm going to put more money in your pocket. How likely is, stop telling me what to do. Right? I'm not paying you 6%. I'm not going to do it. I don't give it. They're going to do it, but I'll do it. So you got to come back and tell them a story. Kalani, let's sit down. Let's talk about this a little bit. So where are you moving to? How soon do you have to be there? Tell me a little bit more about that really quick. Okay, so now that we know that, let me tell you a story about my cousin who was moving from here over to St. Pete. She lived in Plant City. She's moving over to St. Pete, and she works with a different brokerage, and it is a discount brokerage because she's a physician assistant and she doesn't have time to manage all of those things. And her broker wanted to do the listing at 4% and was going to get her $400,000. That's what her broker told her. So when I talked to her, I told her we should list it for 415. And I think we have a really good possibility of selling it for more if we strategize correctly. She was really concerned because she has 2 kids. I noticed you have kids as well. You have dogs. I understand a concern about a lot of people coming in. So what we did is we strategized getting it on the market on Wednesday. We held off on all the showings. We did open houses on Saturday and Sunday, opened it up to as many people as we could, created a competitive bidding environment. I called every single agent. We started getting offers. We had an offer before somebody even walked through the house. Can you believe that? So we had that 4% listing you're talking about, we had an offer of $425. That's amazing. Why doesn't she just take the $425 and put $10,000 more than the list price in her pocket, go on about her business? She saved 2%. She saved $8,000 and made $10,000 more. Congratulations to her. But what really happened, what really happened after I got done with my strategies and the way I handle my business and the way I communicate with clients and the way I talk to the other agents and the way I brought more buyers and sellers in through that door, by Sunday, we had offers between $465,000 and $475,000. And we accepted the best offer that was on the market for $470,000. So I'm telling you that keeping the property on the market, paying somebody more, it's not about what you're going to pay me because you saved $8,000 but put $10,000 more in your pocket. You paid me $8,000 more, but you put $50,000 more in your pocket. So tell me again, is it about what you pay me? Or is it about how much money I put in your pocket? Because I could probably charge you more and still put more money in your pocket. I could charge you 10% and you'd still make more money listing with me than you would have listed with a 4%. So tell me a little bit more about that. Does that make sense to you? Do you understand how that is? And don't get me wrong, some people are, I'm not paying more than 4%. Some people say that, and then you have a decision to make. It doesn't matter what you do with some people. They don't care. It's 4% or nothing. And you are never going to get that listing at any higher. We won't do a 4% listing. We're not a discounted brokerage. But try another avenue. Well, let me ask you a question. Where are you moving to? Where I know you said you're moving over here. Have you chosen a realtor for that move just yet? No, you haven't? Wonderful. Here's what I'd love to. I'd love to interview for the job to be your buyer's agent on the other side, because I get so much more power then to be able to negotiate your listing and then negotiate the purchase of your next home. And what I can do then is I can give you a credit on the purchase. We're not a discount brokerage. I spend a ton of money and a ton of time to market your listing, to bring you more value, to get you the best offer, to put more money in your pocket over that 4%. So when I show up, I show out. And then when I'm helping you buy your home, I'm going to give you a 1% credit. Now, I notice you're moving from over here in Riverview down to Lakewood Ranch. Are the homes a little more expensive in Lakewood Ranch? Yeah. So do you want 1% of your $500,000 listing in Riverview? Or would you like 1% of your $800,000 purchase in Lakewood Ranch? So in essence, I'm really giving you about a 1.5% credit of your listing. I'm giving you way more than you would have got if I discounted you to 5% on your listing. And I'm giving it to you a credit on your purchase. And that's just for your loyalty, for trusting in me, knowing that I'm going to do the best as a single agent to show up for you on both sides of that transaction, and having a conversation about that. There's just two little strategies that you can do, but you have to get them off of what they're paying and get them more focused on the money that's going to go in their pocket. And you could do that by telling a story that gets them attached to, wow, that's possible. I might be able to do that. And if I put $50,000 more in my pocket, it really didn't matter the difference. They're not even thinking about what they paid anymore. We've got them thinking, and then we can ask them more questions and go through more of those strategies. So we'll go a couple questions. I had a pre-listing appointment and they wanted to list at 5%. I went back and forth and offered the client loyalty program you discussed last week, and they are listed at 6%. Yay, congratulations. Do you know the biggest thing is? Stand up for your value. Because then you have the ability to say, so let me guess, this is how that went, right? You can't see, but I'm going to walk in the door as if I'm a listing agent showing up for an appointment and I'm a 4% broker. Walk in, great, beautiful house. I'll do it for 5%. You know what? I'll do it for 4.5%. I noticed there's another car out front with a magnet on the front. Oh, they're not coming in here. They're just showing the house. Okay, well, I'll do it for 5% then. They walked in the door telling you what they're going to list it for, or you called on one of their signs that said, I'll do it for 4%. So they've already put their value out there. They marketed what their value is. They marketed to you how they're going to show up and stand up for your value. In this market, we charge 6%. And I'm standing here right now telling you I'm not a discount brokerage and I charge 6%. Which one of us do you think is going to stand up for the number that you want for your home? The guy who can't even stand up for his own value because he walked in the door telling you what he was going to list it for, even though he wanted more? Or the guy who's standing here telling you I'm worth a hell of a lot more and I'll prove it to you. Tell me what you want. Let's go to work. Who's going to stand up for your value more? The person who stands up for their own or the person who's not even willing to? So then you have the ability to say that. You have the ability to tell them that I'm going to stand up for my value. And that's one of the biggest things. You have to stand up for your value. You have to be willing to stand up and give them the objections. Don't just roll over. At least if you don't roll over, look, we will approve a 5% listing, but only if I know you stood up for what your value is. If I know you rolled and just like went on your back and just rolled over, that's not good news for me, because you're not showing them what the true value of a Century 21 Beggins agent is in this market. If you do 5%, I at least need them to understand what you do, why we do it, how we do it, and then also ask for their confidentiality. Make it a big deal that you're doing 5%. Don't just, do it for 5%. Make it a big deal that you went down to 5%, because I don't do this. This is not how I run my business. I'm putting it in here into the listing agreement that you are held to a confidentiality of the 5% listing, and you cannot tell any of your friends or neighbors that I did this, because I don't do this for anybody. And then if you really want to, write in about a pending manager broker approval. That way you're not the bad guy, I am. And we'll more than likely approve it, but only if we really know that you stand up for your value. At least handle the objections, because most people are just kicking. They're just kicking a tire. Give me a discount? No. All right, had to ask. That's how most of them go, but that's not how all of them go. I understand that it's not always easy, and there are people who are real sticklers. But if you go in there with confidence, I had a guy, I helped an agent get her listing over here and talked to him on the phone, and he goes, I'm just going to tell you, I don't know how this is the only thing I'm going to say until we get to that point into this conversation when you show up. I don't know how I can pay you 6% with everybody else charging 4 and 5 in this market. I'm just going to say that. And I went through and I expressed to him, let me tell you why that's a bad idea. And I first I aligned with him. I completely understand. I see everybody else doing that too. But let me tell you why that's not always the best idea. And we'll talk a little bit more tomorrow. I completely get where you're at. And I went through everything, expressed everything, walked in the door. And at closing, because we listed it, full commission, 6% with the other agent that we helped get the listing. And at closing, he tells this other agent, because the other agent was out of town when this happens, and this is his words, not mine. He goes, yeah. He's telling this other agent about me. He goes, yeah, I don't know. He just walked in here with his balls dragging on the ground and told me exactly what was going to happen and how it was going to go. And I was going to do this, and we're going to sell it for that, and it's going to take this long, and we're going to do this, and that's exactly what happened. And I'm not saying that to pat myself on the back. I'm saying that because that's what he gave me. He gave me that attitude, so I brought it right back to him because that's what he respects. I used my sales skills to understand who he was, what he was bringing to the table, and I showed up the same way because that's what he's going to respect. And I told him this and told him that, handled the objections, put that there, put it here, had the contract on the table, picked the price, we listed it. Done. No questions. And the conversation started off with, I don't know how the hell I'm going to pay you 6%. I'm just going to say that. We'll talk about that tomorrow when you come over. And it still came out that way. So most of the time, everything that you're afraid of is really all in here. That's it. If you show up with the confidence and everything that you need, you're going to get the listing. You're going to be able to stand your ground. Just don't cave. And when you get done saying it, shut up and listen. Wait for a reply. Don't keep going and keep going and keep going and talk yourself into a hole. Everybody hears the silence and it needs to be filled. They will fill that silence. Wait for them to fill the silence after you handle their objection. Wait for them to fill it and see what they say. See their direction. You might be addressing an issue that's already dead. Let them fill it. So just a few things to discuss and to think about. All right. See what else. How to address sellers who insist on asking commission amount at first meeting or preview. So if somebody is insistent on asking, well, I just need to know what you charge. I'll give them the same kind of expression. Well, I understand that that's a huge focus for most people is what they're going to pay on a listing. But let me tell you that it's really not about what you pay. It's about how much money I'll put in your pocket. And I'm sure you're seeing a lot of your neighbors' homes selling at different prices, and you're wondering how that one sold for so much more than that one. And we will get to that during the presentation portion. Right now, I'm in my information gathering. I want to get everything I need together so I can really understand your needs. We'll bring back everything I found. We'll present all of the findings, and we'll be happy to discuss that. If that's your biggest concern, I'll make sure that's the first thing we discuss tomorrow when we sit down to talk about the comps, the positioning, where your home is, and I'll show you exactly where we come up with this and how we can make it work for you. Yeah, but I need to know how much you charge. Sorry, we don't discuss that because it's really not about what I charge. It's about how much money I'm going to put in your pocket, and I can't provide you that value until I know the value of your home. And I'm just now seeing your home for the first time. I need to gather more information. I will put it all in front of you. You will be able to make the most informed decision. Now, let me ask you a question. Other people that will walk through the door, did they take the time, the effort, and the energy to call you, to follow up with you, to schedule an appointment with you, to preview your home, to gather the information, to put together a full presentation, and then bring it back to you? Or did you tell them you're going to list your home and they showed up like that? And they had a number right here. Great. That's your neighbor who sold for $550. I'm your neighbor who sold for $750. And there's a difference. And I just wanted the opportunity to show you that. Those might be the numbers, they may not be, but just figure out where that can be the difference. And I want to make sure I decipher that difference where they sold for this much and you could sell for this much potentially. So let's get to the bottom of those numbers and we'll have that discussion tomorrow. Is that fair enough? Does that sound fair? A good way to disarm people is asking them, does that sound fair? And it either is or it isn't. And everything I'm saying is very fair. And if they say no, then they're the a-hole. Well, no, that's not fair. Well, I don't know if I want to work with you then. So when you ask them that, it's a disarming factor. So some people will call and say that, and you have to have the ability. That's why our process goes the way we do. Ask questions, follow up. So basically prospect, pre-qualify, set a preview, confirm the preview, set a presentation, confirm the presentation, do your pricing, show for the presentation, talk about positioning. That's 7 or 8 possibilities to connect, to communicate. I told you, it worked with the seller over here that I helped somebody with. If I didn't pre-qualify him and ask him those questions and I just said, great, I'll be over there tomorrow, I would not have had that opportunity. I would have been a little more blindsided by what he was bringing me. But I already knew what he was. I already knew his attitude. I already knew what he wanted. I knew his objections. I asked all the questions. We went through the whole process. So that's where you gain power. Follow the process. It'll put you in power. Any other questions or any other feedback or any other things that you want to talk about? Timelines. Right now, market sells very fast. The average days on market for the nation is like 20, 21, 19 to 23 or something like that. The average days on market in some of our neighborhoods is 7 days, 15 days, 12 days. Well, I don't want to list it for 6 months. Completely understand. I wouldn't want my listing tied up for 6 months either. If I can't get the job done, I'd want the ability to walk away. I'm confident we'll get the job done. And here's what I'm willing to do for you. Let's shorten it to a 3-month listing. And I'll express to you why. I'll tell you exactly why in a second. But what I will do for you is if you're willing to price the property right, I'll give you the opportunity to cancel with no penalty after 30 days. If we don't have a contract in 30 days, you should have the ability to walk away and tell everybody that I didn't do my job. But that's only if you're willing to price the property right. If you're not willing to price the property right, then I don't want to give you that ability to just cancel because that's not my fault. I did the marketing, I did the positioning, I created everything. You decided you wanted too much. If we price the property correctly, it will sell. A home priced at market price sells in market time. A home priced above market price sells in above market time. You're telling me you want a home priced significantly above market price and you want it sold in market time. That's probably not going to happen. So that's why I need a 3-month listing and I can let you out of it within 30 days. So with a 3-month listing, they go on the market. They sell, let's say they sell in 10 days. Here's the other reason. Let's say they sell in 10 days, the average days on market. It sells. What happens 30 days later and the buyer loses financing? Goes back on market. That's 40 days now. We have a 3-month listing. If we did a 30-day listing expires. And we never have the opportunity to go back on market. We can't because we had a 30-day listing starting March 1st, ending March 30th. By the time that buyer cancels, it's April. We don't go back on market. We have to fight to get the listing back. And they're going to be, they might be upset with us if we didn't handle something properly. We want the onus on them to cancel, not on us to have to chase them back down. So a 90-day listing, giving them the right to cancel after 30 days, they have to do it in writing, have to notify us they want to cancel, is a way that you can get around that. And it gives us another 30 to 50 days to sell the home on the market with a 90-day listing. And most of the time, people aren't going to cancel. Most of the time, we've built enough rapport and did our job the right way, and they're not going to cancel on us. So that's what I would do with somebody who doesn't want to list for that period of time. Do a short 90-day listing, but give them the right to cancel after 30 days with no penalty. And if you want, write in pending manager broker approval. Anytime you make a change, I want you to get the listing signed. So don't be afraid to sign something. Cross through something, write it in, initial it, you and them, write in pending manager approval, tell the seller, just so you're aware, I'm going to go ahead and make these changes. I do need to run it by the broker just to make sure everybody's okay with that. So I'm writing in here. We'll know first thing tonight, tomorrow, whatever. Just call me right away after you leave. If you want, I'm always happy to hop on the phone with you during your listing presentation. I just prefer not to be blindsided with a phone call. Hey, I got the seller. You're on speaker. Let's talk about it. I prefer not to have that. Shoot me a message. At least let me know what I'm walking into. I'm happy to walk into a firestorm. I just need a little bit of a heads up, and I'll be okay. Any other feedback? Good. Let's talk about competition that we want to do. So with Moxie coming around, we're trying to get more people engaged with Moxie, and we'll have more particulars this week, and we'll send out a nice email and a video to you telling you what it'll be. But we want you to create some CMAs. and we want you to send some CMAs. So basically what I want you to do is pick your neighborhood, pick your farm that you're going to work, whatever that small little area you're going to do, and minimum of 10 CMAs have to be delivered out. This is what we've got so far, minimum 10 CMAs for the month of February to be delivered into a farm area. Easy thing to do. Pick your home and find every other home that's that same size, that's your same model, do a CMA on it. You've already done it once, and then just repeat it for every new address you do. Really, really easy. You can get 10 done like that. And then everybody knows the value. Now you have conversations, you make some friends. But anyway, we're going to do a competition to see who can do the most amount of CMAs and presentations to deliver, email or print and deliver, however you want to do it. You're going to be on your word. I prefer if you dropped it off on the doorstep, that we're going to put these out. You're going to take a picture of it on their doorstep, or you're going to send it and copy us on the email. Whenever you send it, we'll let you know what that is. But Jimmy, you want to add anything on that?
I mean, you pretty much hit everything. So yeah, we'll get some more specifics next week, but it will go live first and go for 30 days. And I think something fun for the winners. Try this. This does two things. One, it gets more of you engaged with Moxie and Moxie Present and doing your CMAs. I've been hearing a lot of people getting appointments for sellers, buyers, things like that. And then I'm not seeing anybody actually use these awesome tools that we have to make everything more efficient for you. And most of that is because you're not 100% comfortable with it. And I get it. So by doing this, you're going to ask for help. We're going to help you out. But by doing this, it's going to get you out there, get more comfortable with it. But also every time that we do something like this, when it comes to farming and CMAs, business ticks up for everybody. And specifically on this standpoint, it's for sellers. So it's kind of a two and two thing we're working on.
We have 150, it's more than this, but just saying, average 150 agents between the SouthShore offices here. What would happen if a third of you, 50 of you, decided that you were going to engage in this competition? There'll be some prizes too. I mean, we're working on that too. We're going to give you some. It'll either be like we'll bring everybody out to lunch. We'll do some gift cards. We'll do some of that. We'll do some prizes for it. But what would happen if 50 of you decided that you were going to send out at least 10 CMAs into a farm area that you live in and let 10 people know what the value of their home is? 50 of you. How many is that?
500.
500 homeowners would now have marketing material from a Century 21 Beggins agent in the neighborhood. And then they may talk to somebody else. They may see that. Now we're getting more traction out there, more people. And then what would happen if you decided that you were going to follow up with just a normal farming letter to everybody in the neighborhood after that? And what would happen if you decided you were going to go in the Remind and grab phone numbers and call as many people as you could find in that neighborhood and just make that your goal for 30 days? 30 days, I'm going to send this out. I'm going to send that out. I'm going to make some calls. And then you're done. So now you have 500 potential people, more than that when you focus on the farm, but we have 50 agents doing that. That makes a huge difference. It doesn't just make you look better, it makes the company look better, which makes you look better. So it's all around, and we need to get some more market share. You already see we do have the highest market share in most of our markets. We have the most amount of listings in most of our markets. So we just want to continue to bridge and broaden that gap. So please help us out.
And then just to kind of tie a little bit more into it, because by the time this 30 days is up, we're going to be launched with Moxie Engage in our website. So as you are doing some of that follow-up, now we're going to have this awesome new CRM that honestly, from what I've been seeing, and for the people that have actually used it and other brokerages, it's absolutely insane and intuitive and easy to do some of these follow-ups and stuff that you're going to be able to do, which is fantastic. And then, one thing that I know, Chris, this is kind of off thing when you're talking about, putting our brokerage out there. Like, now that combining both Century 21 and Sun City and Apollo Beach, it will make us where are we at in the state, Chris, just for the company or just for that office?
With the offices combined, we'll be the #1 office in the state by $1 million.
#1 office in the state you're a part of. Okay.
By $1 million.
By $1 million. And then for the
$1 million.
$1 million.
The closest competition. So we would be at $9,030,000 is what our gross commission is with the two combined from this year. The next closest office is $8,200,000, and it's Jim White over in Treasure Island. Yep. Guess how much his top agent did of that $8 million?
7.
No, not quite. 4.2 million dollars in gross commissions. His top agent. So one agent did half of his entire business. And then another agent did about 20% of it, did about $2 million in commission. And then another agent did $1 million. So imagine how, like, we've got a much more stable organization as far as everybody putting their hard work in and contributing. So that's why Craig was showing those per person numbers and showing that 60% of the business is done by the top 25%, which is really good. Because if it was higher, the average is 80% of the work is done by 20% of the people. We have 60% being done by 20%, 25% of the agents, which is a better balance. So that would make us the #1 office. And when you start, the whole point of this is to get you using Moxie more, get you into the CRM as that comes out, get you into the website as that comes out, putting out CMAs, start tying them all together. Any feedback, questions? I like it. I like that feedback. I like you. Thank you. If there's nothing else, then we will sign off. You guys have a happy Tuesday. If you have anything at all, please feel free to reach out. Don't forget, at the bottom of each of our emails, Jimmy and mine, there's a Calendly link. Book your coaching appointment if you want to schedule some time. It's not the only times you can meet with us. If you need anything, feel free to come in, reach out to us directly, but click on that link if you want to schedule an appointment, and that's more for the weekly accountability.
Yes, and last thing, I will resend out the Google sheet to invite agents if you would like to give a video testimonial on the brokerage. We'd like to update that for this month. I've had 4 people that have said yes. And it doesn't have to be video. If you want to do it more written, we can do that too. But please, I'm going to resend that out, and would love some more information and some testimonials from other agents all over the place. So thank you.
Good. Awesome. You guys have a wonderful Tuesday. Thank you.